Zambia, officially the Republic of Zambia, is a landlocked country at the crossroads of Central, Southern, and East Africa, although it is typically referred to as being in South Central Africa. It has 8 neighboring countries and an estimated population of 19.2 million. The capital city of Zambia is Lusaka, located in the south-central part of the country. Zambia's main industries include mining, construction, chemicals, horticulture, textiles, foodstuffs, and beverages. Currently, Zambia's economy is heavily exposed to the country's ongoing debt crisis. While the country's economy is expected to recover from higher international prices for copper, Zambia's main export, if a successful IMF deal is reached by mid-2022, it will enable debt restructuring with creditors. In a bankrupt Zambia, plagued by unsustainable debt, per capita GDP is less than €1,000. It is 4 times lower than in neighboring Namibia. But in this country, ranked among the least developed in the world by the United Nations, the fight against corruption involves dizzying amounts of money. Zambia is the 117th least corrupt nation out of 180 countries, according to the 2021 Corruption Perceptions Index reported by Transparency International. The Corruption Perceptions Index ranks countries and territories based on how corrupt their public sector is perceived to be. A country or territory's rank indicates its position relative to the other countries and territories in the index. In 2018, Britain, Finland, Ireland, and Sweden withheld nearly $34 million in aid to Zambia's social welfare and education sectors because of concerns over financial mismanagement. Zambia faces significant corruption challenges. Public procurement and the justice sector are especially affected. Corruption risks are high in Zambia's judiciary. Bribes and irregular payments in return for favorable judicial decisions are common. A third of Zambians believe that most or all judges are corrupt. The judiciary lacks independence, and businesses lack confidence in the legal framework's ability to settle disputes and challenge government regulations. Many prosecutions and court decisions are perceived to be politically motivated. Allegations of corruption involving members of the judiciary have called into question the decisions in a number of significant commercial cases. In the area of commercial litigation, the courts are frequently inexperienced, and the enforcement of contractual and property rights is frequently lax. When compared to the regional average, contract enforcement in Zambia is significantly faster and less expensive. When dealing with Zambian police, there is a high risk of corruption, particularly petty corruption. The government has stated that police corruption is widespread. In effect, half of Zambians believe the police are corrupt, and a quarter of those who had contact with police officers in the previous 12 months paid a bribe. Businesses have insufficient trust in the reliability of police services to enforce law and order, but they do not report high business costs due to crime. 3 out of every 5 businesses pay for private security. While civilian authorities maintain effective control over security services, police corruption is fueled by a high level of impunity. At roadblocks, cops frequently extort money and goods from motorists. Due to endemic levels of corruption, some have called for the disbandment of the current traffic police. Zambia's land administration is one of the country's most corrupted institutions. Property rights are generally well defined in urban areas, as opposed to rural areas, but their implementation is fraught with difficulties. Property rights are not well enforced in the courts, and court decisions can take a long time to be finalized. Land titles are occasionally challenged and retitled to another owner. There are allegations that people with political clout use their clout to engage in illegal land deals. The number of steps required to register property in Zambia is comparable to the regional average, but the time required is less than the regional average. Corruption is prevalent in the Zambian government procurement system, posing significant risks to companies operating in the sector. Bribes and irregular payments are common when businesses bid on public contracts, according to reports. Almost 1/3 of businesses say they intend to give gifts in order to win government contracts. Both the diversion of public funds and favoritism in the decisions of government officials are common. Fraud in the tendering process for government bids is widespread, and it frequently occurs during vendor selection, contracting, and maintenance. There is a lack of transparency and accountability, particularly in the final stages of the procurement process, which allows for significant manipulation. Payments for procured goods and services are processed without adhering to procurement procedures due to regulatory violations and ineffective implementation of internal control systems. Suppliers are known to inflate their prices far above market values, implying collusion between government officials and suppliers. So much remains to be seen with the new president, Hakainde Hichilema, taking office last year and promising to eradicate corruption. With him fighting an all-out battle to live up to his ambitious commitments, it is no surprise when the headlines are filled with seized hotels, helicopters, and a string of arrests. His first targets are members of the government of his predecessor, Edgar Lungu. The former head of state is accused of having lost his way in heavy infrastructure projects by over-indebting the country. He was also at the head of a government riddled with serious corruption. This has, however, drawn criticism. Authorities seized 2 helicopters and a hotel belonging to former Foreign Minister Joseph Malangi. The purchase of these assets is suspected to have been financed with public funds. Mr. Malangi is accused of embezzling more than €8 million. Zambia is twice the size of Germany and yet has few paved roads. A multitude of investigations have been opened. The former head of the Postal Service is, for example, accused of stealing more than €18 million from a fund intended to support the fight against poverty. Also, over $3.8 million was found in cash during a search of the home of former national radio journalist Faith Musonda. With multitude of investigations going on, the new government's anti-corruption program faces criticism. It's yet to be seen how new regime tackles corruption in this sub-Saharan country. Thanks for watching. If you like this type of content, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories.